can't say that now.
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa Rosenthal, and this is my partner and co-founder of the Ultimate Client Strategy podcast, Bruce Libman. And today we're joined by one of our colleagues and dear friends, Lou Caracappa. Welcome.
So Lou, why don't you tell the folks exactly what you do?
Okay, I am a financial consultant. We do expense reduction work. My company's called P3 Cost Analyst, and we do deep dive audits and analysis of our customers' bills, contracts. We're trying to review to see if we can save them any money in things like utilities, waste, managed print, uniforms and linens. It's a great deal, Bruce, because we don't charge any minimum. We don't charge any consulting fee. We only charge our customers if we find them savings, and the savings is consistent with their business objectives. Very rewarding job when you can save people a lot of money, adds right to their bottom line.
Terrific. Okay. That's great to know. Before we finish up today, we'll be letting people know exactly how to get in touch with you. All right.
Great.
So I want to ask you a personal question.
Okay.
Is there a defining moment in your life that shaped who you are today, personally or professionally?
Wow. Interesting question. So I'll go personally first. When I was in the 4th or 5th grade and I tried out for my school CYO baseball team and I did not make it, I vowed that I would never be cut again from a sports team, and that whatever I endeavored to do in my life, I would try to do it to the best of my ability. If I failed, it was because I just wasn't good enough. I felt in this case that I was good enough. I just didn't work hard enough. So took care of that, went out of my way next year, was a starter on that team, and never looked back. I think it defines who you are, how you respond to failure, how you pick yourself up. What do? Do you just say, well, I'm never going to pick up a baseball again because I didn't make the team? Or say, hey, I've got to be better at this. If this is what I want to do, I need to be better. So yeah, I guess that's a defining moment that kind of shaped who I was, what I did, from that moment forward, whether it was academics, whether it was work, it was always to give your best effort.
Wow. Yeah. Look how you think about that. Going back to, you said the 4th grade?
Yeah, 4th or 5th grade.
4th or 5th grade. Wow.
I think you're fully formed by those ages. I think who you are, you kind of are already that.
Yeah.
At that age. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah, but I say you learn everything there is to learn by the time you're in kindergarten, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. I still remember my kindergarten's teacher's name.
Me too.
So I don't remember too many others, but
she was a witch. She was an old battle axe.
Oh, she was beautiful.
Mine was awful.
That's why I remember her. All right.
Mine was awful. At a year or two after I had her, she retired. And then the beautiful blonde Miss Violet came, which my sister had. And everybody loved Miss Violet because she was young and pretty and very nice, as opposed to old and nasty.
So let me ask you another question. Now, on the professional side, you became an entrepreneur.
Yes.
All right. Kind of late in your life. And, entrepreneurs make a lot of mistakes. How do you feel about what could you possibly express to a person who feels that they want to go into business and they want to be entrepreneurial? What mistakes, hopefully, could you suggest they avoid?
I think one of the mistakes that people make is that they expect to be successful instantly, especially if they've been successful in the past in different things that they've done in their life. It requires a lot of patience. It requires a lot of time to build a business. It also requires things that are out of your comfort zone. For example, I don't love networking. I don't really like to go to events where I don't know anybody. And if I talk to them, it's a superficial conversation because everybody there's trying to get business from each other. So one of the lessons there, it's actually something that paid off for me, is when you meet people in that setting, not to talk about business, but to talk about yourself, ask them questions about who they are, try to build, some type of deeper relationship. So the last customer I signed about a month ago, I was at a Westchester Business Council network event, and I had, I'd spoken to the guy in the past, and we spoke a little business. He knew what I did, My conversation with him at that event was about his new boat, about his love of the Rolling Stones and sports. And then he sends me an email the next day. Hey, let's catch up again. I was thinking about you, was thinking about your business. This might be something good for me. So that is the lesson. But for a couple of years it was, hi, I'm Lou, this is what I do. Do you want me, do you want to hire me? It doesn't work.
I
And
tried it.
it's a very unnatural environment. But again, patience also.
Yeah, those are good suggestions, people. Lisa, do you have any input to that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things you did before you chose to become an entrepreneur is you spent time figuring out your skill set, what would apply best going forward in your own business, right? You didn't just decide to jump in and become an entrepreneur, either build a business or buy a business. You really spent a tremendous amount of time. And I think that's one of the things that when you are not an entrepreneur in your early working years, right? But you are an entrepreneur by choice later in your career, like you had a whole career of finance, Lou, which is remarkable. And coming out of that with that background, choosing to be an entrepreneur, that's brave. And I don't know if you realize it, but that is very brave of going from a steady paycheck and a known entity and structure and process to being an entrepreneur, which is all unknown, and all we do all day is solve problems.
Well, that was the interesting thing, Lisa, is that, I didn't exactly, go into a situation without established processes. So P3 is a franchise. So P3 exists as a corporation. It's almost like being an employee. So while I work for myself, there are some standard things that they bring. So it's kind of a hybrid. I think it's an easier entry for somebody later in life to maybe look at a B2B type of franchise situation, especially if you're used to policy and procedure, you're used to established routines, you're used to a certain level of IT or IT support. I get all those things as
Right.
part of our franchise agreement. My dad was an entrepreneur when I was a kid, and I always felt like he had unbelievable courage to buy himself a pharmacy and try to run it. And he was successful. And, they don't teach you that in pharmacy school. They teach
Oh,
you how to run a business. They teach you about drugs and biology and things. So, yeah, I agree. Takes a lot of courage, but, I didn't jump all the way into the deep end because I didn't organically build it from scratch, but people do. The people who do that should be commended, I think, because it
yeah.
takes a great amount of courage.
So you're validating my point. You took all your
Exactly.
past knowledge, your past capacity, your expertise and skill, and looked for the thing that was going to work best for you. And it's one of the things I think that's made you so successful is you found your niche before you jumped into the deep end,
Yeah,
right?
it was a calculated risk.
Right. So I guess my point is for those that are corporate people that might be interested in going into their own business or going private or becoming an entrepreneur, you're the perfect example of how to do that. It's been one of the things as I've gotten to know you over the years that I look at and I say, wow, so this is somebody that was calculated and intentional and changed their circumstances, but still does what they love and what they're truly good at. So very impressive.
I think it's a nature or function of my personality to be calculated. Not risk averse, but not like blindly. But I will say, if I look at the group of friends that I still have from high school, the people who took the biggest risk got the biggest reward. Just everything was cast off, no safety net. And fortunately, they succeeded and succeeded big. So it's what's inside of you, what your risk tolerance is. My friend that I'm thinking about now basically said, I had no choice. I had to. I had nothing to fall back on. So when you have nothing to lose, it's very easy to take a huge risk. So, I mean, I think that's part of the equation there.
And if you ask those friends of yours who you say risked big and won big, if you ask any one of them, I promise you, they have big failures too. Because any entrepreneur will tell you, we've all failed.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
with those failures come great learnings. And with the learnings, is what propels you forward. So in all of the iterations of you, right? Hedge fund, right? CPA, hedge fund,
No, no hedge fund.
no hedge fund, finance.
Yeah, big broker dealers, big banks, that type
Yes.
of.
Okay, forgive me. In all of the iterations of you, and I have no doubt it served you well when you made this jump, what do the relationships look like long term, right? What are the things that have helped you maintain those relationships long term and maybe even convert some of those relationships to advocates of yours for this new business?
I just think it's like any other relationship. Some business relationships are purely that. They're just business, they're superficial, they're polite. And then other people strike you differently, right? So I met my wife working at Paine Webber. So we established a pretty deep relationship there. But at that same time, like one of my best friends in the world, someone that I met around the same time that I met my wife. And we have common interests. And the relationship is really not about the job, not about working in an investment bank. One of my advocates, and Bruce has seen my list, one of my advocates is a guy that I went to college with and then also worked with at Dean Witter. And he was very successful in his career, had great career path as a audit director, worked at hedge funds. Maybe you're getting me confused with Brian. And Brian has always been a great advocate because we just had this connection going back to NYU and being accounting majors and being confused all the time by things like cost accounting and having to help each other get through these things. We just had that bond. So the bonds are made. I don't know. I think it's human nature. You don't really understand who you bond with. Like you can't predict, like when you meet a man or woman, say that's a person that's going to be a friend for life. That's someone I'm going to bond with. I met many people that had a lot of interest and similarities to me that I never was able to bond with. So it is what it is. It's a difficult thing, but yeah, have made some really good and deep relationships in business with people. My wife.
What a great story.
She was also a good example of being able to take the plunge. My wife was a very high level executive at Morgan Stanley. And when she did her 20 years at Morgan Stanley and was eligible to retire with all her trailing earnings and benefits, put in her papers and enrolled in the Parsons School of Design and
What?
went and did what she really always wanted to do, which was to be a designer and an artist. So I saw that. It's like, man, I can do the same thing.
That's
It was kind of freeing in a way.
sure. And now you have the resources to do that. At that point in your career, like you say, you put your time in, you did what you did, and now I want to go do something that I've always had passion for and explore that. Good for
Yeah.
her. She should be our
Next month.
We're going to you're going to invite your wife to be our next guest.
Next month, yeah. She can talk about her solo art show coming up.
I would love to meet her.
Oh,
Make that happen, Lou.
Yeah, well, all right.
For somebody like you who's detail-oriented and regimented, what are some of the habits that you have that you think have helped make you so successful?
Well, first of all, I'm not detail oriented. That's why I was a terrible accountant. I was a great manager.
Okay.
I am not detail oriented. I am meticulous, but I'm not an accountant. That's why I was always miscast as an accountant. One of my habits is, I don't know if you could see because of Zoom, it's the old Franklin planner technique. Make a to-do list every day.
Yes.
And mine is on paper. And I go through my list. Call this guy, email Joe Romano, talk to Natasha, whatever. And if it doesn't get done, it gets carried over to the next day. I put things in my calendar. I also am a creature of habit. So I do the same tasks, the repetitious tasks in the same order, in the same time of day every day.
Wow.
I know that sounds like totally anal.
No, but it is, when I say detail oriented, I mean somebody that is meticulous about what they're doing. You are that person. So I don't mean detail oriented like an accountant where every column is and box is filled out,
Yeah.
but you are very meticulous with your schedule, with the work you do, and you just share that you do the same task at the same time each day, right? That's your regimen. And so I always admire people that can do that. And I
Well,
think it's part of your success.
routine makes me comfortable. I'm not good in like a free form absence of routine type of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always thrive at a very structured situations. And again, that's intrinsic to who you are. That's not something that you can recommend to people because that doesn't work for everyone.
Right, but I do think it's part of when you're somebody that's either newly in business or taking on a new challenge. I think there are things that people can learn from other people that have helped them stay on track and stay focused. And I do believe we all have the ability to create new habits. Even if it's not intrinsic in our personality, you can create a version of what is
Yeah.
comfortable for you. You can create a version of that for yourself, regardless of what somebody's comfort level is.
I think it goes back to discipline. You have to have personal discipline, but I think it's you look at, people who are great athletes, people who are great artists, people who are great at a lot of different things, great students. Discipline. You
Yeah.
got to do the task. Like you can't, nothing that's worth it comes easy to anybody. Like everybody says, oh, well, this one, Darryl Strawberry, he had natural talent. Yeah, sure he did. He also probably worked his butt off to get to the major leagues. They don't just put you there.
Well, I always describe people when I give them this example. I think of Derek Jeter, all right? And I always say he is one of those gifted athletes, all right? Natural athlete, but he was at the park at 11 o'clock in the morning. He was in the training room. He was watching films on the pitcher that he's going to be going against that night, all right? And then he's taking ground balls. And then he's taking batting practice. All right. He is getting not only his body ready to go, but psychologically, he's getting ready to play the game. He does this every single day. All right. Does he have to do that? Some of those tasks he certainly doesn't have to do. No. As far as he's concerned, that's his commitment. All right. He's got to refine, he's got to get ready for the game that day. I think we all have to get ready for the day, all right?
Yeah.
Structured, like you described. And if it's not going to be a good day, then take a walk, take a few hours off, get into the game. Because if you're in the game, you got your chance to win that game.
Well, it's what I went back to my to-do list, calendar, the structure that you need. I don't know if you ever saw itinerary for Tiger Woods during his heyday. What his typical day looked like. It's 6 a.m., get up and run 5 miles. 7 o'clock, have breakfast. 7:30, hit 1,000 golf balls. And it was every day. And this guy did not need to do that, but he did. Same with Jeter. Now you'll hear Aaron Judge, the other players say he's not only the most talented player on the team, he's also the hardest working player.
Right.
Right. So it may be somebody smarter than you, but you can choose to be the one who works the hardest.
So, Lou, I love learning more about you. Clearly, I didn't know as much about you as I thought I did. But what are some of the things that you love to do outside of the scope of the work you do?
The things that I'm passionate about, I like guitar playing. I like playing music. I like being in bands. I like, jamming with people. That's really fun. And that's another thing that requires a lot of discipline. You're going to play with other people. You got to know your parts. Like if you're an orchestra, right? You don't know your part, you ruin the whole thing. So love that. Love sports. The only one I have left that I can play still is golf. So that's what I do. I grew up, playing baseball and football, every sport. Love to play golf, love to learn about golf. The golf swing is like an endless study, something that can never be perfected. So that's good for me because it's you continue to pursue the attainable, which is always great. Yeah, like that stuff. A little bit of a political junkie. Won't go into that because it's a family show. But I do enjoy the rhetoric, back and forth, and posturing, and all that stuff. Watch a lot of that. Interested in that. Like reading, I won't call it trash reading, but like disposable reading, things like James Patterson or Lee Child that are not heavy lifts, like, not reading Dostoevsky or something, but, light reading for entertainment, not quite romance novels, but like detective, action, adventure stuff. Authors that I mentioned sometimes get a little deeper. Go back and read classics that we all read when we were in high school. Books like The Catcher in the Rye. Your, 50 or
Certainly
60-year
relevant.
old self sees the world in different terms. And I think what's most interesting is if you can remember what your 14 or 16-year-old self thought the first time that you read that, and then what you think about today. And fortunately, I have kind of like-minded friends that I can discuss that with that have gone through that exercise and reread a lot of our high school reading list.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So being a guy who loves music, loves to create music and play, what are some of your favorite listens at this time?
At this time, I actually listened today. I had to drive my son to LaGuardia Airport, and someone told me that The Cure came out with a new album.
Oh,
It was
cool.
fantastic. So the leader of the band, he's 66 years old now. Because their heyday was the early 90s, 35 years ago. And it was fantastic. But I listen because I'm playing Southern rock. I've been listening to a lot of Allmans, a lot of Leonard Skinner. Guitar techniques that those guys had is incredible considering the time, the resources. So like if you hear Freebird, so here's a 22-year-old unknown guy that is showing you every great blues technique like known to man at the time. Did not have the benefit of YouTube or the internet to teach him. All he had was his ear, his guitar, and his ability to reproduce what he heard and then take it to another level. Or Allman Brothers. You listen to, Dickie Betts playing a guitar lead, playing in something called Dorian. I don't even think he ever knew what Dorian was. Yet, incredibly, these guys can do it. I have the benefit of instruction, 40 years, 50 years of classic rock, YouTube videos that can teach you anything, and I still can't do what these guys can do.
Amazing.
And it's interesting you bring up Freebird because it's one of those songs that who doesn't know that song and hasn't heard it 1,000 times and
Yeah.
So I'll leave you on this note and share. Do you know who Keb Mo is?
Yeah, I've actually seen him.
Oh
I
yeah,
saw him at the Beacon Theater. He's fantastic. I love blues.
yes.
Blues is is like jazz. It's a unique American expression.
Yeah, and Keb Mo is one of my favorites, and I think I've seen him 6 times in concert. I've never seen anybody, I mean, I've seen a lot of musical talented people, but he's a special guy.
His unique talent is the ability to emulate every blues style known to man. He can play anything. He can play like John Lee Hooker. He can play like B.B. King. Believe it or not, Eric Clapton comes close. I mean, Eric Clapton is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Is unbelievable. Back to Freebird, when you have to listen to it a lot to play it, we're trying to work it out with the band, and we're not at the level those guys are at. It's a shame it was their first record and it was a low budget thing. It's not produced that well. So the sound of the record, if you listen to the actual record, is not great. The recording was they didn't go back and change anything. They just said unknown band, just tape it once, put it out. I'm wondering what it could have if it was like their fourth or fifth album. Like Stairway to Heaven is a masterpiece because also production masterpiece. That was Led Zeppelin's fourth album, and they had sold, 20 million records before that. So studio gave them the time to really work on that and to make it a masterpiece that it is. Freebird is probably equal in as being a masterpiece of music, but the production of that original recording is just not doesn't match the song's quality.
Yeah, it's interesting. Reflection's a really a great thing. And you said it just about books and how our thoughts change and what changes over time and how our perspective shifts. But the thing that doesn't change in this conversation, you've said it several times, you have long-term friendships that you're blessed to be able to have these conversations with.
Yes.
Right? Your wife and your family, they're long-term invested relationships. And those people have come along with you. I mean, not your wife and your family, but those other folks have come along with you and you've grown together where you still find value in those touch points. The relationships you have with your clients, right? Long-term clients, year after year. What makes some of those relationships sticky?
as in
As in the
continuing, or sticky as in contentious?
sticky as in continuing, year after year. You've been in your business for many years now, right? What do you think is attributed to the fact that clients continue to return, other than the obvious value of what you do?
It's delivering.
Right.
And it's converting skeptics. We finished a project. I've been working with this company. It's a park recreation district in Illinois. They run the golf courses, the skating rinks, and whatever recreation the town out offers, golf courses. And the CFO, I had good relationship with him, but I could tell that he was a little bit skeptical about things and just gave us a little bit, not every project, not everything that he wanted to accomplish. And one of the things we did was telephones for them, phones in every location, and they needed a new system, and we helped them with that. At the end of the day, we saved them like over $50,000 a year. This is a municipality, relies on property tax, can't really raise that without a lot of pain. So the 50,000 was huge for them. And he went from being skeptical to being an advocate. 2 weeks from today, he and I are presenting at a group of CFOs for municipalities in and around the area that he operates in. And he's going to tell his story about how he went from skeptic to advocate. So that's just one example, but you have to do the job. You have to under promise and over deliver.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not always in what I do, though. That's not always in our control, because we may do the best job that we've ever done and come up with nothing. But that's also good, because in my business, if we don't find anything, that means that whoever negotiated those contracts, whoever developed that relationship with the vendor, did an outstanding job. Because we have like inside information. So why is there a value to P3? There's a value because we know, not me personally, but my company knows what you should pay for a vendor service in any market in the United States, because we've done 30,000 audits in those products all over the United States of America. That's the value that we bring, right? If you called, if you and Lisa today wanted to open an office and you wanted to bring in copier, how do you know what that's supposed to cost you? You have no benchmark. You have no idea. So you go to 3 vendors, and one says, oh, I'll do it for 12 grand a month. One says, I'll do it for 10. The other one says, I'll do it for 8. And you know the right price isn't 4. And my potential clients say, well, you don't know. I said, yeah, me personally, I don't know, but P3 knows.
Yeah.
That's what you get. That's the value. Inside information on those markets from people who have worked for those companies and with those companies and against those companies for 20, 30, or 40 years of their career. You get a subject matter expert that knows that market, right? I can't imagine the lives of these people. Could you imagine if all you thought about all day was waste and recycling? But I work with people, that's their life, waste and recycling. Have a good time with that. So,
Lou, this has been great. I so
always
appreciate
fun.
your time and sharing so openly. It's been a lot of fun to get to know you a little bit better. How can folks reach you? We'll give it in the written format of how we're putting this out, but how do folks reach out to you best?
Okay, they can call me at 914-471-2404. Reach out to me through LinkedIn. I think I'm the only Lou Caracappa on LinkedIn. Hopefully I am, but you can distinguish me with P3 Cost Analyst. And email, and it's such a difficult email address. It's lcaracappa@costanalyst.com. Please don't ask me to spell cost analyst.
It's right behind you on the wall. It's just
Yeah, thankfully. That was I was so happy when I first joined Bank of America. Our email addresses were at bofa.com. And they got technical and made it bankofamerica.com.
It's a lot of fun, right? Doing
Oh,
that?
yeah. Life should be fun.
Yes, yes.